Hello and welcome to Behave. I am your host, Brian Middleton, also known as the Bearded Behaviorist. And today we have three excellent guests from ABA Inside Track. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'll let you introduce yourselves.
Oh, thanks, Brian. So, hi, I'm Robert Perry Cruz from ABA Inside Track.
Hello, it's Diana Perry Cruz.
And it's Jackie, not Perry Cruz McDonald.
But where are you guys from, though? I said where I was from.
Oh,
I said ABA Inside Track.
From ABA Inside Track.
Okay. I realized after I said it, Brian had already said it. And then I felt bad. I was like, this is going to get so repetitive so fast. Like, everyone's tuning out right off the bat. Sorry, Brian. You have us on.
It's okay. No worries.
But thank you very much for having us on. We're really excited to talk with you today and to talk about today's topic. I don't want to say any more. I don't want to spoil that.
So today's topic on the 5th edition task list is B-5, define and provides examples of schedules of reinforcement. That's not a mouthful. And so we're going to be talking about schedules of reinforcement. And I'm really excited to have you guys on. Let's get started. So first off, defining terms just so that make sure that everybody knows what we're talking about. Reinforcement is defined as a stimulus following a behavior that increases the probability of a similar behavior in the future. So a lot of times people assume reinforcement is just something that feels good or feels nice. That's not necessarily true. It's specifically talking about whether the behavior increases over time. And so we can hypothesize that a stimulus is a reinforcer, but we really have to figure out through tracking the data on whether something truly reinforces or not. So parameters set there. Now we're talking about schedules of reinforcement. So is it a reinforcement Wednesday or is it a reinforcement Thursday today? Because, we're looking at our schedule, right? The calendar. Sorry,
I get it. It's Thursday.
It's the Thursday, or a Thursday, as I like to say.
Exactly.
Where we're using putative reinforcers. That's literally my favorite word to say, and so I always try to say it.
And now you got me saying it all the time,
I know.
too.
Putative reinforcers, potential reinforcers. We don't really know the reinforcers.
I find, for all you students out there, Jackie turned me on to this term. I'd read it. I was like one of those words. I was like, I don't want to look this word up. I'm much too old to learn new words. But once she told me what it was, it gets around, I think, the issue you're talking about there, Brian, of you don't want to call everything a reinforcer or that's reinforcing because you just don't know until you've seen the graph of responses afterwards. But quick little pro tip, if you add putative to like everything you're saying, like, the putative reinforcer, you cover your bases because it means like maybe it is. I don't know for sure. So pro tip, everyone, just start using putative with every verb, and I mean, you cover all your bases.
Right.
What's putatively for dinner? That's what I'm going to say from now on.
I putatively run.
Yeah. Maybe.
Right.
Who knows?
And just to clarify, it's not punitive, right?
No.
With an N. It's putative with a T.
Putative reinforcement would be like
it's
some
like
weird
an
Ouroboros
oxymoron
term that would implode itself.
Yeah, not that one.
That's like the oxymoron of forced compliance, but that's a different episode.
Precisely.
Cool. So we're talking about schedules of reinforcement, putative reinforcement. So what does the term schedule mean?
Are you asking us?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. So the schedule, I know the term schedule. Yeah. So a schedule will mean when the reinforcer may be delivered, right?
Okay.
So it could be at varying times for whatever reason, right? Depending on what schedule. There's simple schedules, which we'll talk about today. There's compound schedules, which we will not talk about today.
Shoot.
No.
But simple schedules.
And there's time-based schedules.
And there's time-based schedules, which we also won't talk about today. There's so many schedules. But with the 4 simple schedules of reinforcement, it just specifies when a reinforcer will be delivered based on a specific criteria.
Okay.
Oh, I did that pretty good, actually.
I think
that was
really well
fantastic.
done.
I might soundbite that, and when I start doing out so there's 3 types of O-behaves. There's the regular, which is the discussion, and then there's the side quests, which we're talking about ABA-related things, but not specifically education, and then basics, which basics are, basically sound bites, audio flashcards. which I haven't gotten to yet, but it's on the list.
Diane and I were talking about something like that today, and we sort of did one of those like, that's a lot of work, and kind of moved on with our day.
It is a lot of work, but the objective of the open source education thing is to make it so that it's freely available and easy to access. So it is a lot of work, but I'd love your help if you want to do it. Anyways.
Oh, I mean, this seems like it lends itself nicely because, again, we're
Absolutely.
talking about specific targets. So it's sort of, I remember at some point, Jackie talked about schedules. So I'm going to cut that little chunk out, right?
I don't know if I feel like editing that much.
No.
But yeah, so
there are no reinforcers whatsoever in editing, not putative, not actual. It's a terrible task.
Unless you love your own voice.
Oh, unless you love, I love my own voice, and I even got tired of editing. So
I listen to my own voice like right now, and I'm just like, ew. Yeah. So, anyways, all right. So my understanding is that there are ratio and interval style reinforcers. So could you define for our audience what a ratio? What does that mean? Is that like 1 cup of sugar to 4 cups of water?
That's right, Brian. You have it exactly. No, so a ratio schedule is going to provide the opportunity for a reinforcer following either a set or variable number of responses.
Okay.
So it's that kind of schedule. And then for an interval schedule, this one gets a little tricky sometimes, right? So people think that a certain amount of time passes and then a reinforcer just magically appears, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking about an interval schedule, it's a certain amount of time passes and then a reinforcer is delivered following the next response that occurs.
Okay.
So that could, again, be a fixed interval schedule. So it's a set amount of time, same amount of time every time. Or it could be a variable schedule. So the interval itself varies.
Okay. And if you're just delivering reinforcement once the time frame's up, that would be non-contingent reinforcement based off an interval, right?
If the reinforcer is just flown in, right? And that's the way I always picture it. Like it's just flown in and dropped off by a
the
drone or
immaculate
something.
reinforcer.
Yes, exactly. Without, or it's not providing contingent on response, then that would be what we call NCR. But if we really want to be more specific, then we would call that a fixed time or variable time schedule. But the key to those is that they're not contingent on responding.
Okay.
So it's just free reinforcement for all, throw it in the air, see where it lands. Type thing.
Like candy at the parade. You're at the parade.
Yes.
You get the candy. The
Yes,
kids run out
exactly.
into the street, and you're like, "Oh no, what behaviors are reinforcing?"
Exactly.
I've seen that way too often. Okay, so we've got the fixed ratio, fixed interval, variable ratio, and variable intervals, and those are the different schedules of reinforcement. I really love talking about one of the side effects of variable interval reinforcement, which is superstition. I'm going to share a story with you.
All right.
Because I was studying behavior analysis, and my wife and I used to own a little townhome, and I'd come home from teaching, and our dog would be in the backyard. It was a little patio area. We had a grassed area where she could take care of business and all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't cushy, but it was, enough. And sometimes I'd come home and let her into the house immediately. And sometimes I'd come home and take care of a few chores and then let her in, that sort of thing, take her for a walk. And one day I was just feeling particularly tired and I had to get some studying done. So I sat down and I was reading, and I looked up, and the door that we had blinds that were just set just so she couldn't see me, but I could definitely see her. And the dog was staring at the door handle and doing this.
Oh.
And
Cocking her head over?
just like every 2 to 5 seconds, she would just cock her head and then go back up again like this. And I was just like, what's going on here? And so for the next few days, I just watched it. And then I was like, I'll bet you it was because it was a variable interval reinforcement that I was not consistently. And so probably what happened is that she did that to the door enough times that she now has this little superstitious tick of, if I look at the door enough like this, then I'm going to get the reinforcement of the door opening.
I mean, it eventually does, right? So that's That's the kicker with superstitious behavior a lot, right? If it occurs at higher rates, eventually reinforcement is going to be following after that, even though you didn't mean it, right?
Yeah.
So he'll show do that and you'll be like, oh, hey girl.
That's the power of reinforcement.
Yeah.
Make all sorts of crazy stuff happen.
You know, that's where Loki and Thor come from. So, you know.
I like that example, Brian, because usually when I think of superstitious behavior, I think of probably one of my professors who had this example of baseball players. If you ever watch baseball players, who knows when that will ever happen again, but maybe someday you'll get to watch baseball players. And when they get up to bat, you know, because batting is one of those things that, you know, no one bats 1,000. That's where that expression comes from, because people don't hit the ball that often, usually less than 50%. And you'll watch them, and before they take the swing, you'll see them move the bat. You'll see them fix the baseball gloves on their hands. You'll see them kind of look around. You'll see them hit the foot. And if you watch certain players long enough, you'll notice that they have like the same bunch of just arbitrary responses that they're engaged in before that ball gets pitched. Because again, they don't know that they're doing these things on purpose. It's something that's developed over multiple at-bats, where sometimes they do this and they get a big hit. Sometimes they do it, they don't get a hit. And they do it again and they get a hit. So that's always the example I go back to. But I think the dog one is probably gonna reach more people, and is a little more global example. So I'm gonna borrow that one if you don't mind.
Feel free, please do. And I've got good news. She doesn't engage in that behavior anymore. Because we now live in a place with a dog door, so
there you go.
she can go in and out at will. So there's absolutely no reason for it, which I'm very happy about, because, like, you know, having a watering
Still there?
yeah, I'm still here.
That is an amazing Frozen.
Mhm.
Oh wow,
Oh, no.
that is
Marinated
fantastic.
off.
I wonder what my face looks like.
It
It
was
looks-
beautiful.
You look so
You're so
happy.
happy.
Super happy.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
There we
You
go.
look-
We're back.
Now you look the same, but you're back.
Okay. Sorry.
That
Just
was,
as happy as you look
you're
now.
like, it was awesome.
That's one of my
so
problems.
hot in here.
Is I look too happy, so people always assume I'm a big teddy bear, and I'm like, maybe. I'm gonna be mad now. All right. So
Try to
yeah.
look mad.
So yeah, that's variable interval reinforcement. So now variable ratio. So that one would be, well, the definition I'm looking at here is a variable number of responses required for reinforcement produces a steady high rate of responding, is the definition that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, Brian, I know,
okay.
Dinah, you wanted to. Well, it's on the same topic, but one of the things that we, because we're old people, had to learn about was cumulative records. And while I myself have never actually used cumulative records, I know Diana brought up when we were sort of getting ready to talk on the show. You know, the one fun thing I think all of us older students loved about cumulative records was looking at the cumulative record graph that came from the different schedules of reinforcement that we could get.
We're not that old.
Well, not that old, but it's not on the task list anymore. So most people don't do cumulative records. And
No. But, well, I mean, I brought it up because the way that we talk about schedules of reinforcement is in conjunction with those classic graphs, right?
Yeah.
So every time you learn about the schedules, you learn, and we haven't covered like the fixed ones yet, but you learn like the break and run for the FR, and you learn the scallop pattern for the FI, right? And then the VR and the VI are sort of harder to distinguish between because they're both like pretty steep increases, but you classically learn about them with those graphs, right? And they're almost at no other point in time do we use a cumulative record. Not that I don't think we should, because I love the cumulative record. It's like the unicorn of graphs when you find it in the wild. It's so exciting.
Well,
But what I have found is that my students don't have a context for understanding those graphs, even though we're asking them to use them to identify the different schedules of reinforcement, because they don't ever have other context for talking about a cumulative record. So I thought that might be a good thing to add in to this conversation, is explaining why we have those graphs and how we arrive at them, because they're totally different than the way that we normally graph data.
yeah.
Is that good?
And I'm actually pulling up an image right now, and I'll I'll make sure to cite it in audio so that way whoever created this gets the credit for it. So this is coming from opentextbc.ca, and I'm just going to move my camera real quick and give folks, sorry to show off my messy room.
Yes.
There they are.
There we go.
There they are.
So this is the cumulative record. And for those of you who are listening strictly audio, I will try to put a link to this article so that way you can look it up. But we were just talking about fixed interval, and the scalloping effect is what I believe it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I've always called it, right? So the interesting thing about the cumulative record is that it's graphing. I mean, obviously, it's just like the name. It's graphing cumulative responses over time. So what's different about the cumulative record is that you never have a decrease in your slope of your responses, right? So it's not like the way that we typically graph data where you might have we might have number of sessions along the along the x-axis and the number of responses along the y-axis, and on each session or each day you could have anywhere from 100 responses all the way down to 0, and your graph of your data would go up and down like a mountain range, right?
You're so never going to look something more like this.
Yeah.
And that's the graph I think most students are going to be very familiar with, because when you're using behavior analysis, you're using it to, increase a desirable behavior, decrease an undesirable behavior. So you're going to see those ups and downs. And I think we get very used to the idea of a graph can go all sorts of crazy directions. Whereas in reality, with our cumulative records, it only gets to go one way, which is either, kind of flat or up, but it's always sort of moving in one direction.
Yep. It's always
tends to
always going
trend
up
in the same direction.
Right. Exactly.
And if there's no responding, you'll see a flat line.
Okay.
Right. So if there's no responding in one session, then it'll just look flat.
Yeah. So time marches on, right? So if there's no responding occurring, then you're going to see a horizontal line for represented on your cumulative record. And then when responding does start to occur again, then there will be an increase in slope. So the steeper the slope, the higher the rate of response. And then if you have a stop in the response, then you'll see a horizontal line again in the data. Okay. So that's how you end up with the patterns of responding that you see when we talk about schedules, and we talk about these schedules with regard to the cumulative record, because that's how the data were initially collected way back in the day. So it's the same idea as like a lie detector, how there's like that little arm that's measuring whatever it's measuring.
Nothing really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, Rob. Well, it is. It's measuring.
It's like
it's not measuring lies, but it's measuring your like stress responses.
Yeah, it's just measuring your stress response, heart rate.
I've seen enough spy movies to know those things aren't reliable.
No, they're not.
But it's always moving, right? So the paper underneath is always moving, and it's measuring changes over time. Or an earthquake, a seismometer. Yeah. I made up that word. A seismograph.
Yeah,
sure.
One of those.
Yeah, same idea, right? So like the
geologists everywhere scream.
Yeah. but the needle only moves when there's activities. It's the same idea here, except that this is only etching up and up and up, and that was related to the original apparatus that they used. Every time a response occurred, the little needle bumped up in its wheel cog.
When you described flatline, I was thinking the flatline sound of the beep.
Oh yeah.
I think of that too, though. I think of that too because there's no responding.
Yeah, exactly. And heart beating is a behavior. It's a reflexive behavior, but it's a behavior.
Right. So same idea here. So when you see the different patterns of the schedules, which we can talk about now, or we can talk about later if we want to get into it more, that is represented in the cumulative record, which is why it looks different than how most of the graphs, when we talk about graphs, look. Mm-hmm. So that always confused my students until I kind of like laid it out for them and explained like, this is a whole different thing than what you're used to. And then it made a lot more sense to them, because otherwise they were just learning it rotely, and I don't think it was really attached to a lot of meaning.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I'm hoping to do with this show, is to make it so it's not rote, so that it connects. So thank you. That's perfect.
Yeah.
If if you're studying hard, you just got to learn what's on that 5th task list, as you're doing all your practicum work. If you only remember 4 cumulative record patterns, these are the 4 to remember. And then you can learn the rest later when you have some more time, when you're
You
done with
basically
your
just
studies.
need to know these 4.
Yeah.
Let's be
I'm
honest.
trying not to undersell the cumulative record as someone who, every time someone tells me, you go to a social event, they're like, cumulative records. And I kind of I kind of start glazing my eyes over. I don't want to talk about cumulative
Well, you need
records.
to know about more schedules of reinforcement than these 4. But these are
Yes.
the ones that are typically going to be demonstrated graphically in a cumulative record.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think when you put the record with the response pattern that you get, as shown in that cumulative record, that I think makes it easier as a practitioner to sort of think about, why would I or would I not want to use this simple schedule of reinforcement? What are the pros? What are the cons? And they go beyond, the important, but not necessarily as interesting, I think, scientifically speaking, issues of, well, I probably would use variable schedules more often, because it's really hard when you're trying to get someone to follow your behavior plan where you must reinforce every response to get them to keep up at that ratio. It's just very difficult to do outside of, say, a clinical setting. So usually people end up with one of our variable schedules just on accident, because it's a little easier to do.
Well, and also that's variables a little bit more real life. You don't always receive reinforcement. The challenge there is that, and I know I'm maybe jumping over to some other episodes, but the challenge comes that if you're trying to do extinction and you unintentionally reinforce it, then you turn it into a variable reinforcement schedule, which makes it harder for it to be placed on extinction. So there's some ethical quandaries that come with that. But on the flip side, it makes the behavior stronger. And so if we're reinforcing the right socially significant behavior, replacement behaviors, then that means that the individual has access to new pivotal skills, pivotal behaviors.
Yeah, we want those to be demonstrated at strength and be persistent in the face of extinction.
Exactly.
I want to make one caveat. I was going to wait to the end, and I just was writing it down, but I do want to make one caveat with the simple schedules of reinforcement. So one caveat when we're talking about clinical work is that we have to remember that the simple schedules of reinforcement, how we imagine they would be on these cumulative records, are going to go out the window as soon as you see rule-governed behavior emerge, and that's usually when language emerges with humans. So what research has shown is that pre-verbal humans, right, may display these same characteristics in the cumulative record as non-humans do. But as soon as language emerges, then the rule-governed behavior may take the place of that contingency, right? And so then you may not see these schedules of reinforcement because the rule is of greater, greater impact.
If a rule has been
made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we just have to make that one caveat, is that you're not going to miraculously see these schedules across all people at all times. Yeah.
But
just because it was in
even-
the textbook doesn't mean that's going to be the graph you
Right.
actually get if you do the real.
But as a verbal human, my behavior will adhere to these schedules as well,
Right.
if there hasn't been an additional rule overlaid
Yes.
on top of them.
But Jackie, what if the rule is follow the graph for fixed ratio?
Well, then it will work.
Boom.
The
Well,
exception proves the rule, Rob.
And as a sneak peek, because we're going to be doing an episode about trauma-informed care on your guys' show.
Woo.
I'm really excited for it. The thing to understand is, regardless of who or what we're working with, this is a science of living organisms, which means
Yes.
that while we are also being very scientific, that doesn't mean that we throw out being human.
Yes.
Quite the opposite. And in fact, all the reading that I've done from B.F. Skinner, every single reading that I've done has indicated that he firmly believed that we need to take into account and respect the individual, their feelings, their emotions, and we're radical behaviors. And that doesn't just mean Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, guys. Totally radical, dude. Wild stallions. Sorry. It also means
Excellent.
that, yeah. It also means that private events are behaviors, and so whether or not the only observer of that private event is the individual, right? But we still need to take into account and consider that person. And the further research that has been done, especially in areas of trauma and things like that, which thank you to a lot of other sciences of psychology for furthering that research and alongside the research we've done, shows that, you know, if you're not treating the individual with integrity and respect, then it's going to backfire. Doesn't matter what your intent is.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you should cut out that discussion you just had with us, Brian. Like, put it at the end. It's like a postscript to every episode. It's like, I'm glad we talked very factually about everything on the task list. This is important for your test. However, you really need to understand there's a million other things you're not taking into account if you only learned this. And some of that I feel is some of it's just the age of the practitioner. Like, you pass your test, it's very exciting. Now you have to learn all the actual real life lessons that hopefully you did in supervision or got to some extent in supervision. But oh boy, I remember just learning this stuff, and I could just remember to define these 4 terms. I was like, I did it. I'm a behavior analyst. And unfortunately, it has to go a little beyond that. You're right. So we've got two masters, both working with people, which is very, very important, and working with our science, which is also very important. And the sooner you kind of put the two together, or understand that you at some point will have to put the two together, I think the better a practitioner one will be.
I'm incredibly grateful that I was able to be a special ed teacher before I encountered behavior analysis, because nothing like being thrown into the deep end with great white sharks the size of Jaws to teach you how to learn the right way and the wrong way. And yeah, exactly that. So, all right, we've hit variable ratio reinforcement.
All right, and we came up with examples.
Sorry. It was variable interval reinforcement. My bad.
Okay.
Examples.
I think you started with the toughest one.
Yeah, variable. I mean, I think variable interval is, you know, once you kind of get a grasp of it, it's not too tricky. But like Diana, you were saying, the idea is most people think variable interval. Oh, I get it. I don't know what time my interval is. Every time it's a little different. It's going to be around some set average. And when that time is done, I deliver the reinforcement. But once you get over, no, not the time, the next instance of the target response occurs is when the reinforcer is delivered. Once you get past that hump, again, I think that one is the trickiest, but also, you know, that's the tricky part. That's the little piece that I think throws people off.
Well, that's tricky, but also I think coming up with, because we all came up with real life examples to share with you, Brian, if you want to hear
please
them.
Do.
I think that one is the trickiest to come up with real life examples. Also because there are so many SDs in our environment, they're going to indicate when reinforcement is available other than just the variable passage of time, right? So like that, I think, is what makes this challenging to present as a real life example. But what if we tell you the ones we came up with and you can tell us if you think they're any good?
Go for it.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I was so loud right there. So mine's hilarious. So
good.
Mine should be a fixed interval, but in real life, it's a variable interval. When you're getting on the city bus, right? You imagine that it's going to be a fixed interval, but it never comes on time. It could come early. It could come late. It could come very late. It could come very early.
So your behavior is waiting for it? Sitting at the bus stop?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And like getting up to get on the bus.
Standing intently at the stop, like, I'm ready to go. I'm looking both ways. Here comes the bus.
I'm going to agree with you with one caveat.
Yes, please do.
Not in Japan.
Sure.
Oh.
There's a comedian that I enjoy listening to, and for some reason I've spaced her name, but she actually does this a whole skit on ish, the idea of ish, and how she tries introducing it to her mom, and she's like, I will be there sometime between 9:45 and 10, and her mother just looked at her with rage in her face. The Japanese are very consistent, so that works in all places except Japan.
Nice. Do you want to go?
Sure. I think Diana, you actually had started coming up with this example, and I just wrote it down. and then didn't write a second one. So I'll take this one. Was so when you think about getting a text, or when you send a text to your friend, you know, you're expecting to get a response back. So you send a text, and you pick up your phone, you know, because, oh, did they send it? Did they send it? No, not yet. And you put your phone down. Then you pick it up. Did they send it now? No. And then you wait a little while. Did you send it now? Because you're not quite sure when the text is going to come through. There's going to be some period of time, and the text will come. And when you pick up your phone, you'll get, you know, the putative reinforcer of, oh, your friend wrote something to you. Let's assume they're going to write something really great.
They just wrote K.
They're going to text you back. You're the best. You know, something great. You know, that we assume will most likely function as a reinforcer. So you just keep picking up your phone. And again, when we think about this, even though we have phones that ding and they tell us when we have it, we all still have that habit of like, it's been a little while, I think. I better pick up my phone. No, it's been a little longer. Better pick up my phone. And eventually your friend will have texted you, or the sound will go off, and then you'll pick up your phone. And you could have waited that whole time. But even though there was no ding, you just keep doing it. Like, talk about superstitious behavior. Like, maybe the text came. Maybe I wasn't listening close enough. Maybe my phone's on vibrate and my couch like sucked up all the sound waves and it didn't vibrate, so I better look. So again, you don't know when it's going to happen. And with the variable interval there, that's one of the reasons you probably do this with relative consistency. Like, I keep doing it every now and again. I keep going it. Whereas if your friend texted you, like, I will text you back in 5 minutes, you probably wouldn't pick it up quite so quickly. You'd sort of wait a while. And then as it got closer to 5 minutes, then you'd start doing the pick it up over and over again. And that's
a good one.
Yeah. Again, I think that was Diana's example too.
that also works with social media, not just text messages. So comments or likes, things like that. So yeah, that's excellent.
So that was my example, but I came up with another one.
Okay.
And mine's real nerdy. So bear
yours
with
is
me.
Mainstream.
It's Rob thinks
I think it's
not
mainstream.
nerdy, but it's kind of nerdy. So I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing. Are you familiar with that game?
I'm familiar. I haven't played it, but I'm familiar with it.
So
it's the game of the pandemic.
Yeah, and my character is doing very well for herself. Thank you for asking. She's got 3 expansions on her house. She has a whole beautiful garden, and she's pretty happy with her life there.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. So every night there's like a different event that happens, right? So sometimes there's a ghost that comes, and sometimes there's a guy who comes and wants to buy bugs from you. But there's one where this pelican guy washes up on the seashore, and you have to do something for him, and then he'll give you a gift. So I really like him because I think he's funny. But you never quite know when he's going to come, right? And you only see him if you go along the whole seashore of your island to check all the nooks and crannies for where this pelican may have washed up. So if I am playing the game and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen, his name is Gulliver, I haven't seen Gulliver in a while, right? Then I will start checking the perimeter of the island. And if he didn't come that night, then I'll check again the next night and the next night, but I never exactly know when he's going to be there. So if he's come that day, then eventually when I check the perimeter, I will find him. That will be reinforcing. But the interval, I think, I haven't figured out the interval, so it's not rule governed yet. So I think it's varied.
Well, it definitely has a rule to it because it's an algorithm that drives the whole thing. You just
I know, but
yeah,
I don't know what it is. So for me, it's just a variable.
That's
interval.
awesome. That's
Yes.
a good example. That gets our Animal Crossing fans in on the action.
They're crossing heads.
Is that the nickname for it? Crossing heads?
No, I don't know. I'm not in that deep.
Okay. So this is actually an example that a peer of mine, a math teacher, used, and that I also used in my classroom as an effective variable interval, because you get busy as a teacher. It's really hard to be able to do everything. But interval timers for working out are pretty easy to set up on your phone. They're free on all the major platforms, and you can set them up to vibrate silently in your pocket or on your watch if you have a smartwatch. So what she and I both did is we set up variable timers, and when we caught a student doing a target behavior that we wanted them to do, note-taking or working on an assignment, praise, reinforce, or whatever reinforcer it is that they prefer, because some kids, it's a punisher for praise,
Right.
that sort of thing. But when we catch them doing that thing after the interval, after the vibration in our pocket, then we would be looking and then catch them, reinforce. This worked for 2 students of mine of polar opposite challenges. One kid would sit and do nothing, like literally would sit like this the entire class time. And the other student, ADHD to the extreme, definitely needed his meds. And even then it was a struggle. And in both cases, and they were 2 different periods, I did this with them. And one student average grade at the first quarter that I started working with him was 17%. The other student, the ADHD, had tried, but it was closer to 30%. By the last quarter of that school year, both of them, their lowest grade was a C+.
Wow.
Right.
Because it was all about delivering the reinforcement for the target behavior of taking notes, being on task, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that frustrates me so much about, education and the connection, the tenuous connection with ABA that shouldn't be tenuous, is that learning is a behavior, and it shouldn't just be the problem kids that we should be working with. This should be governing how we teach, period. And same thing goes for university classes. Same thing goes for all levels. It's like, this is a behavior we learn. And we did the variable interval because that worked for the environment, because we had a lot of kids to work with, and it worked fantastic for us.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So that's like a workout app? You can set it to be variable interval?
All you do is look up interval timers on any one of the app stores. Choose what app store of your choice, and you can use the best ones. Allow you to just make it so it just vibrates. And you have to do a little bit of programming and planning ahead of time, because you're creating the intervals yourself. You can't just say, this is what I want my estimated rate to be. And anybody who designs an ABA variable timer, you will have my money very quickly.
Actually, you think that would exist by now, but
I used to do it in Excel. You can do like random interval in Excel and put in your
program it, though,
but then you don't have it handy. I've also done I pull a number out of a hat, or I have to teach the staff, like, just pull a number out of the hat, and there's your interval. That starts getting less and less variable interval, and more it starts to become fixed interval, though, especially if they like lose what's in the hat and only have 2 left in the hat.
We used to use a thing called a motivator, which was
I've used those as well, and those are pretty good.
Smartphone, and it would allow you to vary the interval around a certain mean,
and you can
which is cool. But they weren't super expensive, but they also weren't super cheap. So it was
$30.
It wasn't
about
it was
$50,
more
$60
than I could,
a piece. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then I could like buy everyone. I would have like one per classroom, and everyone would take turns using it. So it was
a variable interval. Who gets the motivator schedule?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
All right. And then when we're thinking about the cumulative record, the variable intervals schedule tends to produce a steady rate of responding, right? So a fairly steep slope, but not the steepest slope when we're thinking about how the cumulative record
this is
might
our guy
look.
right here.
Yeah. So you see a steady rate of responding, but maybe not quite as high a rate as you see with other schedules.
And earlier I misspoke. I referred to the scalloping, and that's in reference to fixed interval.
Oh yeah,
not variable. I goofed on that. So
I didn't even notice.
And anybody who was screaming in the podcast, you got it wrong. You're right. I did get it wrong, and I recognize that. Congratulations, you received reinforcement for screaming at the podcast. Cool. So should we talk about fixed interval now, since we talked about the scalloping in relation to that?
Yeah.
That works for me.
Okay.
So for fixed interval, we see responding occur and reinforcement provided contingent on responding after a set amount of time has passed. So that's the same amount of time. So it could be 5 minutes, could be 5 years, but it's the same amount of time that goes by. And this produces that scallop pattern that we just talked about in the graph, right? So you might, of course, it takes time to develop due to reinforcement history, but then once that's pretty developed, then you see rate of responding that's initially lower, and as the interval passes, that passage of time without a reinforcer functions as an SD to occasion additional responses, such that right before the interval ends, you see a really much higher rate of responding occur, and then when the reinforcer is delivered, you again see a lower rate of responding for a period of time. So my example for that was, not that I find this reinforcing because I actually never, ever, ever do this activity, but some people might check the mail.
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you like to check the mail, Jackie?
I do. I really like my postman. I actually check the mail so that I can say hi to my
Hey,
postman.
hey, wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
He's so friendly. Both my daughter and I wait at the window in the morning.
That's cute. Do you wait at the window at night?
Yes. No, we
No,
don't.
stop it.
No, we
Only
don't.
a little bit, and then more and more as they stay up all night.
He usually comes around 7:45 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
ish, right? It's usually 7:45,
Mm-hmm.
and so at 6 o'clock we don't go to the window, but we start increasing the look over around 7:30 a.m. and it increases exponentially as we get closer and closer to 7:45.
Okay.
Creepy, I know.
There you go. But there's your
There's
scallop.
the scallop.
There's just
All right, so that's my example.
My example is a little bit similar. When I need to get work done, I sometimes will put a block on my browsing on my computer, right, for a specific time, so I can only access what I'm working on currently, and I can't go to Facebook or Insta or anything. And so when I first put that blocker on, I'm like, I'm gonna work so hard, right? But then as time passes, I might go in, I might click on that browser to see if it works, and then it doesn't. But as we get closer and closer, farther away from the time in which I put it on, I'm gonna be clicking, and I'm only going to access my other tabs, right, when the time has elapsed. So when the time has elapsed, then I'll be click, and then it works, and I'm like, woo, time's over.
That's a good
Fixed
one.
interval.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, so I mean, we could probably use the one I use for variable interval as well, but in terms of trying to think of another one, which I hope will work out because I just made it up in my head, would be, when you think about when you've got a meeting and you've got two meetings, you're starting at one meeting at 9, but you got to get to another meeting at 10:15. So you need to start, heading for the door, and this is more like a chain of responses, but you need to come up with a reason to leave and start heading for the door at about so you're out of there by 10, so you can get to the other meeting. And, you have your clock. So exactly, you have an hour before you need to start engaging in all of your, various getting ready to leave a meeting behaviors, which is sort of the private event of what's my excuse? Do I look like I want to get out of this meeting? Do I look rude?
Can you
Am I
just
gonna
say
make
you have
anyone
a
mad? Maybe, but then you would not have
You're
the
just
fun
like,
neuroses I've developed for myself.
Excuse
here.
me, a lot of coffee.
So so you've got your meeting. So as the time goes on, and usually you're in a room with a clock, but even if you didn't have a clock in the room, you'd at some point be like, this meeting's been going on a long time. I probably need to get to my other meeting. So you start engaging in I better start putting my stuff together. I'm going to start putting my stuff together. But maybe you realize oh, you know what? I think I got some more time. Or someone starts talking, you some competing reinforcers there. So, okay, I'll sit, I'll look, I'm listening. And then,
doing the looking at the door.
Later, I better start looking at the door. And then eventually you get to the point where you're like, I know it is, if I don't leave now, I will. And then you talk about punishment. I won't get to my meeting. Let's assume it's a great meeting. You're so excited to get there. And so it's 10, I have to go. So that's when you get up and say, I have to leave, or I need the bathroom, or, whatever your excuse is for getting out of that meeting. And then you run out the door. But you don't do that the whole way through the meeting. You wait until you're getting closer and closer to the end of your interval before you start engaging in more of your getting ready to leave responses, let's call them, or ditching the meeting and responses.
You mentioned the getting ready to go and that sort of thing. One of my favorites, I love studying body language now. One of my favorites is the feet are facing towards the door and the shoulders start pushing towards the door, and the other person's looking at them, and it's all the body language is saying I want to go, but they're trying to be respectful. It's
right.
There's a rules govern behavior there, but at the same time, I'm gonna go. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
little meeting
Yep.
comedy there for you.
Oh. I think you're supposed to just get up and say, make up, like, the trick is to get up and leave and then make your excuse as you're walking out the door, because that'll be the better excuse than the one you're like, I could say this, I could say that, I could do this, I could do that. Now with
at
Zoom,
the
you
beginning of the meeting, you're supposed to be like, I have another meeting at 10, everyone. I'm so sorry.
Whoa, big shot. Okay, sorry about all your meetings you have. Jeez, this client's not that important. Don't worry about it.
No, you just let people know.
Not all of us have 2 meetings to go to, Diana. That was
You
a
did. That
hypothetical.
was your example.
I was a dream of mine to have 2 meetings.
Back-to-back meetings.
Back-to-back
Ooh.
meetings. Oh.
So I'm
Oh,
going to
important.
steal a little bit off of you, and my example is going to be school. The bell rings at a consistent time. My personal favorite is the teacher response of, the bell doesn't dismiss you, I do, but they're already dismissed, like they're gone.
Right?
And I saw a meme the other day, like teachers in high school and middle school and elementary school, the bell doesn't dismiss you, I do. Teachers at university have already given up hope. It's like the bell rings, all right, we're done.
No way. Yeah, my students definitely do that packing up behavior ahead of time. But I just keep talking.
Because I know it's almost time to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So that
Good one.
was the scallop effect. And for fixed interval or FI, we weren't using the acronyms, but the VI is variable interval and FI is fixed interval. So now we're going to go back to ratio and those cups of sugar and water that I was talking about earlier. And intervals based off of response. So like if it was, let's say we're doing a fixed interval of every 10 times that somebody blinks, I deliver reinforcement, right? Or maybe it's a variable interval of every time somebody blinks, blinking being a behavior that is simultaneously reflexive but also can serve another function as well.
Yep.
So that's kind of a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you could, if that were happening, then one could receive reinforcement every 2 seconds, right? If you're blinking really, 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 really fast.
Yeah.
So there's no time constraints in place. It's just the rate of response.
Well, I'm thinking specifically of a situation with the client that I had, and I say client, but I actually mean student, who had a dry eye issue because he didn't blink enough. And so this was even before I was a behavior analyst. I was really worried about him. So anytime I saw him blinking, anytime I caught him blinking, I would say, good job, praise him for it. Because he just, do the stare thing. And I unintentionally did a variable ratio for him. And so his mom was like, what are you doing? Like, he's not eating as many eye drops. And I'm like, oh no, now I know. But at that time, I was just like, I just let him know that I like that he's blinking. I was reinforcing to him. So therefore, paired stimuli, that's what it is now.
Good. Cool. Yeah, so you can have a fixed ratio or a variable ratio here, just like with the interval schedule. And should we talk about fixed first?
Fixed, sure.
I love fixed ratio.
Oh yeah?
I love it because
Is your fave?
It's my fave because I like imagining the staircase. It's a break and run pattern. It makes it what looks like a staircase, right? Because
your graph doesn't show the break and
have it.
run very clearly.
You know what? Let me see if I can find a better one.
but
It's like stairs.
Yeah, it's like responding is it's very steep, and then once the requirement for the amount of responses has occurred, then you just see a flatliner because everyone stopped. That's called the post reinforcement pause.
The PRP.
PRP, the post reinforcement pause, and then right as you take some breaks. You take break and then you're ready to go.
As though
again.
you had run up a flight of stairs.
Yeah, and then you're
Gotta take a break.
You're back at it. You see again a high steady rate of responding until you've met that requirement. and then you break again. It's wonderful. My example was the number of bingo dots in a row you put. Maybe not if someone calls them, but if you're just like bingo, 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 and then once you get 5, you take a break.
There it is.
There it
Yeah,
is.
there it is.
Yeah, I like
Thank
that
you,
one.
Wikipedia.
You take a break.
Ah.
You know, you stretch your hand a little bit.
So the stare-like effects there.
Yep.
Sorry.
And then that break or that pause is called the post-reinforcement pause.
Yeah. Or maybe in your example, you could add in talking about getting bingo.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
That too.
Yeah. My example was one of those awesome punch cards that I feel like used to be quite popular. Like I think I had one for Subway, where if you got 10 subs and you got a sub free, right? So every time you go in, you order a sub, you get a punch on your card. And when you've bought 10 subs, you get one free. So initially you're like, okay, I'll try not to lose this card, right? But then after you've been maybe like 4 or 5 times, that becomes kind of valuable to you. And then suddenly you're wanting to go to Subway more often so that you can, because you're getting closer and closer to that 10. And then maybe you buy your friend their sub so that you can put 2 punches on your card, right?
Or
so
like,
you're
oh,
really
you forgot your
responding.
card. I'll take the punches.
Right,
It's
I'll
okay.
do it, yeah. So your rate of responding increases until you finally get that free sub, and then you're like, oh God, I don't want to eat Subway anymore.
I will say that there's a little restaurant in Cedar City, Utah, which is where I used to live, called the Pizza Cart. And they do that. They do the punch card. At least
Nice.
I hope they still do, because this was as of about a year ago that I was there. I still have the card. I live a 12-hour drive away. I still have the
Right.
card, because if I go back, that
You're gonna
pizza
go.
is good. It's worth it.
Nice.
And their
Is
gelato.
it 10?
Their
Buy
gelato's
10, get
good.
1 free? Is that what it is?
I think, yeah, it's a buy
Yeah.
10, get 1 free.
Nice.
And wood-fired pizza, just kill it.
Sounds good.
It does sound
It is
good.
good.
Yeah, typically when I think of a fixed ratio, I'm thinking of, especially in schools, especially in, say, a program based on the principles of behavior analysis, maybe for young children with autism, you're usually looking at sort of the fixed ratio, kind of the token economy system. So not too dissimilar to the punch card, actually, when you think about it, in terms of when the child engages in some desired behavior, perhaps they're doing a work task, they solve a math problem, they engage in a gross motor imitation response, they earn a token, and after every response they earn a token, and when they have enough tokens, then you deliver the backup reinforcer there. So that certainly be one way to use the fixed ratio. You don't have to. I mean, I've certainly seen really fancy token programs that allow for the variable ratio. So every token isn't worth 1 response. It could be some number of responses. That's when you start seeing more of the the child who's like excited to work, and they're just, everything the teacher says, I'm ready to go because I know that there's all these good things coming, both that, hopefully with the pairing of the teacher and with reinforcement, and then all the reinforcers that are delivered at a faster rate, but you're not quite sure the schedule. But another one is, I think of video games a lot of times when I think of a fixed ratio, especially when it comes to controlling video games. How many of us would have ever continued playing Mario Brothers if every time we pressed A, it was like, maybe he'll jump. He might not, though. We'd probably be pounding on the A button over and over. But we want to see, like, he does it, we press it, he jumps. It's exciting, so we kind of get a nice steady rate of response.
You got to shorten your cord if the A button's not working.
Oh, is that the trick?
Something's wrong. You got to wiggle it.
Yeah.
I don't think you understand proper Nintendo Entertainment System maintenance, Tyler.
Blow in the cartridge.
No, don't blow in the cartridge. It's bad for them.
You're not supposed to do that. There's the superstitious behavior right there.
I know.
It's funny you should
All right.
mention that, because I enjoy games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, where it is hard. There is no tutorial. You have to figure it out, and it is hard from day one. And that is not a fixed rate reinforcement. It is variable. It is variable ratio out the wazoo, and I'll tell you right now, the first game that I ever played in that was the game Bloodborne, which is by the company called Software, which fun name, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. It took me 10 hours to beat the first level.
Those games feel like there must be some sort of a variable ratio or variable interval schedule of reinforcement going on. Because just hearing about people talk about those games, it's like, well, then I did this and I died, and then I died, and then I died, and then I died. But then I made it to the end. So yeah, probably some sort of variable ratio of like, and then I got through. I hit the right combination of buttons to get through. Or I figured out the pattern that I needed to follow. They do seem to have that training. However, there's a lot of onboarding, like you're saying, Brian. Like, they must have dialed it in well enough that enough people speak highly of those games, because I hear people talk about them and I say, no, thank you. That sounds like a game in which I will never contact reinforcement. I think I own it though. I haven't played it.
I will tell you this right now that it's not that it's random. It's that you just have to get your reflexes high enough, and then you figure it out. And then I beat it recently, and it took years for me to beat it because I wanted to enjoy it. I'm a completionist when it comes to video games, and
Same.
I'm also, this is terrible and it drives all my gamer friends nuts. I will play something for 3 or 4 months, and then I'll stop for a year and not touch it, and then all of a sudden I'll get a desire to murder some pixels, as I like to say, and then I'll go back to it, and it's just like I describe myself as a nerd with something better to do. Like,
yeah,
Rob's
all about the achievements.
I'm not that much about it. It depends.
I don't
on the
play
game.
any games.
I finally beat. I don't know if you know the game Mass Effect series, Brian. I finally beat Mass Effect 3. I think that is the longest of. I started playing it and I was having a great time, and then put it down for whatever reason, and then finally beat it. I think I beat it like 4 months ago, and I think the last time I started it maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But I did it. I made it through. I saved the galaxy. It's very exciting.
Nicely done.
So there was some sort of schedule reinforcement going on there that kept me coming back.
A little bit of an ITI going on there.
Yeah.
maybe it was a mixed.
Yeah, I think it's mixed.
So I kind of messed things up. I was supposed to give an example of a fixed ratio. So fixed ratio, I would say candy machine.
Hopefully.
You put a quarter in, you turn it, click, 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 candy comes out.
Yes.
Hopefully, or it can be a variable ratio if it's defective.
If it
Or
is
extinction.
defective.
That's my example for your extinction burst.
Well,
But if it's working.
The candy machine is one of my favorite examples of an SD. You see it. Reinforcement might be available. You may not have quarters in your pocket, but that doesn't change the fact. I don't care. Like, as long as there's that learning history, I've seen individuals of all age levels, all level of verbality, all levels of functional skill. Every single one of them, as soon as you walk past a candy machine or a soda machine, it is like an iron filing to a magnet. They will go there and they will stand there, and it's like, I don't got any money, I'm sorry. Or, I've had kids who would be like, give me some money. And I'm like, you're funny, that sort of stuff. But like, it's still there. That's the SD. And it's because it's a combination of the fixed ratio of when you put the coins in or the dollar bill in, you get it out. But then there's also a variable ratio of that makes it particularly strong as an SD, in my opinion, of every time you see it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to receive reinforcement from it. So,
good point. I think they might be one of man's greatest inventions.
Or worse
when we
inventions
think about
if
it.
you're trying to lose weight.
But they are so fun. There's just something so inherently fun about a vending machine.
This is true.
Right? Not so much the soda machine, because you don't get to see it come out. It just like falls out at the bottom. But the vending machine.
With a little twirls out or whatever.
I love it.
I had fun with this in my classroom because I had 3 candy machines in my classroom. I had Skittles, M&Ms, and Runts. So I covered the gambit of the candy preferences. And it was fun to watch it shift back and forth as to which ones I had to refill more often. students were allowed to come in during lunchtime and buy the candy. And I would use some of the money to refill the candy machine, and some of the money I would donate to lunch to take care of kids who were kind of those gap kids where they didn't get the free lunch.
Yeah.
And so it served a good purpose there.
That's awesome.
That's a great way to use that.
Yeah. I didn't want to make money off of kids.
Yeah.
that was my thing. Is like, I'm a teacher. That's an ethical issue if
Yes,
I'm making
very.
money off of them.
Yes.
So, but I also had a little coin purse. I still have it. It's pink with the little glitzies on it, and the kids would always be like, "Why do you have a pink purse?" And I'm like, "Why don't you?"
Right?
But I'd take those quarters and I'd color them, and I'd have mostly blue, so I use a blue Sharpie, but every once in a while I'd have a red one in there too. And I had a token economy, and they could use the token economy to buy a quarter to put in the machine. And when they randomly pulled it out, they pulled out a red, they got a second quarter
Oh,
for
wow.
free. So I had so many schedules of reinforcement going on with this. And
That's super cool.
and I like to describe the reinforcement chain that's going on when you put the quarter in, because one, quarter has intrinsic value because it's been paired.
Mm-hmm.
You slot it in, you feel it slotting in. That's reinforcing. It just feels so good.
Mhm.
Click, 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 click.
Yep.
You're turning it, you're hearing the click, cling, 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 cling. Pull the candy out, eat the candy, and if you have friends, share the candy.
Right. Yeah.
So many reinforcers all in play right there. And that was the most popular thing for my token economy right there.
That's super
was,
cool.
was just quarters in a candy machine because of all those schedules that were on play.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm
love
such a
that.
nerd.
That's
No,
a
it's
great
a great
story.
way. It's a great way to have a setup in a classroom. It's hitting a lot of the positives of the schedules of reinforcement in terms of increasing of opportunities for socialization. We talk about little cusps, build it in there. That's just great. That's really good. I wish I'd had that fun idea in my old classrooms.
So
I never had a candy machine.
Here's why I did it, because I had bootleg reinforcement, too much of it. I'd have kids sneaking in and stealing candy. And I got frustrated with it, and I was like, how can I control this? How can I make it so that the kids can't bootleg it? Which at the time I didn't have the name for it, but
Right.
and my wife and I were at an antique shop, and they were selling a candy machine without keys for $20. And I was like, but there's no keys for it. I'm going to have to I'm going to have to drill it out and get a new lock set. And so I talked to the shop owner, and I said, I want to use this in my classroom, but $20 is too much because I'm going to have to pay to get it all fixed. And the shop owner's response was $5.
Hey.
And then I took it to a locksmith, and the locksmith was like, oh, you know what? Somebody actually had another candy machine here that they wanted me to rekey, and they never came back to pick it up. So how about you just pay for the locks, because it's been abandoned here for a year.
Oh, wow.
So I bought new locks, was $35. So that's $40 for one candy machine, and then $75 for the other one that had two slots. Grand total of a little bit more than $100, and I had 3 candy machines in my classroom.
That's so cool.
Brian, that kind of feels like a seg into variable ratio in terms of asking or bartering behavior. Like, you better do it every time. You're not always going to get a deal, but you do it long enough, you're going to get like the serendipitous 3 candy machine example, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like, if you've ever been outside the United States to any place where bartering is the norm, that you have to do that.
Yep.
So.
Whereas I think talking to, if we want to add extinction in, if you barter, who knows, if you do it every time, there's a good chance it's eventually going to pay out, especially if you get good at doing it. But, in America, you probably don't do it as much because you're mostly going to hit extinction. If you're like, what if I did, most stores are like, please leave, sir or ma'am, like, please get out of my store. Like, this isn't happening. Where's our customer service? Come on. Like,
Of course, one of my favorite things about bartering, especially with marketplaces like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, that sort of thing, is when the person's like, what's the lowest you will go? And my response is, the price is listed.
Yeah, right?
Because you're doing it all wrong, people. Make an offer. And my response will be counter offer, no thanks.
Yeah. But again, that bartering, again, you do it some number of times. You don't quite know. Bartering is not a perfect example in that there's no magic number, that we're sort of averaging out. If you're trying to say use a variable ratio schedule, but that same idea of I'll engage in some number of responses, and after some number of responses, what's unclear to me which one, reinforcement will be delivered. And in the case of bartering, you get a good deal, or you get an extra item that you weren't expecting. Putatively, it's reinforcement. You get 3 candy machines, but in your example, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, who wouldn't it be for? Come on. Now I really want to own a candy machine.
Oh, you need to learn how to
I'm
barter
gonna look
then.
into that. I'm very bad at bartering.
eBay is not bad, but they can be a little expensive. So
Yeah. Okay.
I always recommend checking out local marketplaces, that sort of thing. So
See what I can do. All right. So we're on to variable ratio. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the one we
Round
haven't
it's
down.
done.
it's only one.
last one.
All right. So the cool thing about variable ratio is not really that you're going to be able to distinguish it readily if you're looking at it as a cumulative record by itself. But when you compare it to the other schedules of reinforcement as displayed in a cumulative record, you tend to see the highest rate of responding with the VR schedule. Here it comes.
Here we go. So this
Yep,
one's
there
got
it is.
the steepest
Look at
slope.
that. Steep slope, and then those little hatch marks are when the reinforcer is delivered. So you can see that it's sort of all over the place when they're coming, and that all over the placeness is what keeps responding occurring at a high rate. So there's no interval component here. You're never going to need to wait for the reinforcer to come. It's just how many responses occur before the reinforcer is provided.
Do you mind if I jump in with an example? I think one area that we tend to forget in terms of a variable ratio, especially in school settings, is the idea of, like you were saying, Brian, study behaviors. There are so many behaviors we could kind of classify as study behaviors: sitting in seat, looking at speaker, looking at work, pencil in hand, getting out materials. And I am always shocked how so many responses occur. Even if you're in a classroom with, say, 30 students, you could freely be delivering reinforcement for one of those children every, some number of responses easily. And how very rarely I see teachers, and I won't say every classroom, but just in my whole career, how often I'll go into rooms and I don't see any praise statements. And it would be a great example of what better way, if you want your students to be constantly paying attention, constantly working, just having some number of responses, maybe for the whole class, even a class-wide system of, like, when I see some number of study behaviors, I'm gonna, decide to, you don't even have to plan it out. I'm just gonna go for it. It's been a little while. I'm gonna go for it. So for you, it's more of an interval schedule. For the students, you're looking for set number of responses. Just every like 4 or 5, 6, 7, 10. I'm gonna pick a number today, and for today it's gonna be this. Tomorrow will be something different. And just a real simple kind of little fakey, almost variable ratio schedule, because it's free, it's unpredictable for the students. Again, there are some students who don't like praise, so you use with caution, but so many students would appreciate getting the acknowledgement that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They get to be the one who's the star of the classroom for 10 seconds. And it's easy to do, and it's really just a matter of, today I'm gonna count this many times, and if I see this many kids doing study behavior, the 5th one will be the one I praise, and then I'll change it. I'll make it the 7th one or the 10th one or the next one. And it's such a powerful system. It's really easy to do. It doesn't take a lot of extra planning. And I'm always shocked how little, and this is true for this is true for business, this is true for schools, how very rarely we bother to say, you know what, if I see 3 people today or the next hour, if I see 3 people doing something I like, I'm going to tell the 3rd one, congratulations, you're the best. Thank you for X, Y, Z, whatever they were doing. And then I'll set another schedule for myself to follow. It's so simple. It's so easy. It's so appreciated. And it's just sort of like, well, it's your job, so do it. And you lose out on this really free and easy reinforcement schedule. It's very sad.
And so I want to speak to that, because having been there and also having been from this perspective as well, I can understand, and I agree. It is very easy. And I will also point out a pretty fun little phenomena, which is that in elementary schools, you have a higher rate of praise because it's a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more involved.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more showmanship, I guess you could say, a little bit less curriculum delivery, that sort of thing. But like, we get so stuck in our phylogenetic response of bad thing, bad, don't want that we forget, or in many cases, people have never learned that the thing that you focus on is the thing that is amplified. You reinforce what you focus on, basically. And as I was learning this stuff, and the reason I was a special ed teacher, and specifically a behavior specialist special ed teacher, was because for some reason I clicked with the kids, and that some reason was I understood where they're coming from. I'm autistic. Most of the kids I was working with, the behavior kids, were autistic or something similar, and so I saw them and I treated them the way that I wanted to be treated when I was a kid. And as I started accessing more and more of the science of it, I was able to articulate to the teachers and teach the teachers, and with the exception of maybe 2 teachers, and I say maybe because right near the end there, they were really making some changes and I was really excited. But with the exception of those, the school started changing their approach to the point that I was running a behavior special ed program, mild moderate, that was 100% inclusion.
That's awesome.
We'd have study halls for the kids where they would come and I'd help them a little bit so that way they weren't overwhelmed with their work. But my job was to move around the school and be kind of that fireman / gardener, where I'd go tend the garden or put out fires depending on what was going on. And as things kind of progressed, it was a little bit more gardener, a little bit less fireman. And that buy-in from the teachers was fantastic because they just didn't see.
I hope we can reconnect.
Hang on one second, Brian.
Sorry, Brian.
We got to pause
for a sec. Oh,
bandwidth. Come back.
Is it done?
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, our internet went, but it came back.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. So where did I cut off at?
You were saying a little bit more gardener towards it.
Oh yeah, so a little bit more gardener, and as we kept going with that, the teachers kept receiving reinforcement for providing the praise, kept on doing that, because schedules of reinforcement apply to everybody. A lot of times, like, I hear somebody being critical of a parent when we're working with it, and I'm like, well, try seeing it from their perspective. Like, well, probably the reason why they're doing that is because they're negatively reinforced. Like they're trying to get away from the thing that is aversive. So our job isn't to criticize them. Our job is to say, hey, check this out. There's a new approach. And then be patient if they go back to old behaviors, because it was on a schedule of reinforcement and it was working for them.
Yeah.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Behavior analysis is the nerdiest way to be compassionate. It's
that's a good phrase.
I like that.
It's where, the behavior is there because of the learning history. It worked for them at one point and it probably is still working for them. Behavior goes where reinforcement flows. So let's be nerdy about it and be compassionate.
Very good. So
I like that a lot. So
I felt like my example was kind of a good practical one. I think it led into, Brian, like you were saying, the idea that we're all following some sort of a schedule of reinforcement. Did you guys have more fun anymore with the Pelican related ones, Diana?
No, this one wasn't Pelican related. It was trying to call into the radio station to see if you've won tickets.
Oh yeah.
Some listeners may remember when people used to do these types of things, but you'd try to call in and be busy, and you hang up and you try again and be busy, and eventually you'd finally get through, but you wouldn't know how many times it was going to take calling back until you got through, depending on how popular the tickets were. Probably had something to do with the variable schedule there.
Oh.
I never won tickets, but I did try.
I tried to. Oh, what'd you win?
Our Lady Peace ticket.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah!
In the 90s.
Canada's finest alt rockers.
That's right.
I didn't win tickets, but my buddy did for the
Nice.
Cat Country 103 listener appreciation concert.
Wow.
Ooh, that sounds
Yeah.
like it
Very
was
cool.
a lot of bands there.
A lot of bands, and the radio station was owned by Garth Brooks, so he had a lot of good connections.
Oh, wow.
We're talking like people like Tracy Bird and Brooks and Dunn, like
Oh,
people
yeah.
like-
Wow.
yeah, like big headliners. And the thing about the listener appreciation concert was you could not buy tickets.
Ooh,
They were only given away.
exclusive.
So people were probably like nonstop
Mhm.
calling. There was no stopping and no running. Just
Yep.
call.
Yep, lots of that.
Or
So-
redial. Remember redial, everybody.
Yeah.
Get your
Oh,
redial
redial.
button.
My FR is more related to summertime. It is when you have a popsicle that has a joke on the stick. You don't know how many licks it's going to take to get to the joke on the inside.
My only concern I have with your example, Jackie, is you're going really out of limb that joke is putatively reinforcing.
Oh, it is. It
For-
is
They're
for me.
are they that good? Those
Yep.
jokes?
I love
You
them.
get like a good stand up tight
I
five
love
on
it.
your
It's
popsicle
like
stick.
dun dun dun.
You know what? If you like those jokes, you guys know the band Dropkick Murphys?
Yep.
Yeah. We're in
Okay.
Massachusetts, so yes, we definitely know the band.
Of course you know Dropkick
Dropkick
Murphys. Well, I'm me and my business partner are in the process of creating a gag shirt called the Drop Dead Burpees.
Oh,
Oh,
Dun, dun.
that's cute.
I'm a punster.
okay. So Brian, for you and Jackie, you variable ratio definitely to get to those jokes. It sounds like.
The cornier, the better.
Nice.
Unless
All
I've
right.
already had that one before. So
And sometimes that happens. Yeah.
that does happen.
But you won't know. You won't know until
And
you.
it's just a thinner schedule because you're going to eat a whole other popsicle.
All right.
All
Well,
right, we did it.
yes, we got the schedules of reinforcement. We got some fantastic examples. It was fantastic having you guys on. Thank you so much.
Oh
This
yeah,
was
it's
super
our
fun.
pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Well, definitely would love to have you back in the future if you're interested.
All right.
It's always more taskless.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there
have a
always
big
is.
list.
And
Yeah.
even when we're done with the task list, I still want to circle back and like go into more detail whenever possible because there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And learning, the day that I stop learning is the day I start decomposing. So
That's true. So students out there, you're listening to O Behave and you're like, I'm going to listen to all these episodes and then I'll pass my test and then I'm done. Guess what? You're setting yourself up to be a really bad behavior analyst. You got to keep on going. It never ends. It never ends. Even with these the quote unquote easy stuff from the task list, the basics we're talking about. I know just, hearing all the different wrinkles that come into something so simple. It's fun. Even now, but like we know the test is pretty well. We've been living it for all these years, but I love going back to talk about it because I'll be honest, there are a couple pieces of the task list I kind of forgot a little bit and need a review on. So I'm glad we have this resource now, so I don't have to go find a textbook. I'm just like, what's on my podcast play? What did Brian talk about today?
well, it's also fun because with the side quest we talk about all sorts of other things. While I recorded this episode before the one that we're recording now, I'm going to release it after. Brad Bishop of Psychcore and I had a conversation about behavior analysis and humor.
Oh,
Cool.
So really excited to put that podcast out. But
I
because
really
I've
want to
done,
hear that. Yeah.
it really wasn't as funny as I was hoping it would be, but at the same time, it was pretty dang funny. So I will say that with that one, because humor incorporates a little bit of language that there is a little cursing in it. So that one's going to have an advisory on it, sort of thing. My
Gotcha.
dog is here getting bootleg reinforcement, by the way. I'll let you say that. This is our superstitious dog,
Hey,
Oh.
Bobby. Haley.
Yeah, she's a
Oh,
sweetheart.
she's so pretty.
Yeah, she's a healer mix. So we're
Oh,
pretty
good.
sure she's got some terrier in her.
Yeah.
She's got that supersonic bark.
Oh, jeez.
It sucks when she barks in the car. Ooh, ouch.
Oh,
Oh,
yikes.
really?
Yeah.
It's really loud.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so I'm really excited for publishing that one. But I put
That's
out
cool.
quite a few side quests, and I'm like, got to get back to basics before I do another side quest. So
Right, yeah. We're happy to help.
thank you, appreciate it.
We can't wait to have you on. So we'll take a look at the articles
Definitely.
We'll make some
and we'll
notes.
start figuring out how we want to.
Oh, should we plug? Should we do?
Yes, please. I was about to
Oh, yeah.
ask you, where can
Sorry.
folks
Go
hear
ahead, Rob.
your podcast?
So we're on, I think we said at the top 50 times, ABA Inside Track is our podcast. So speaking of the idea of continuing to learn, our podcast has, we hope, a similar fun discussion format, but we focus on a topic in behavior analysis every week. And we bring out some recent journal articles on whatever that topic is. So certainly we've talked about things like, we talked about classroom management systems. We talked about school refusal behavior. We talked a little bit about anxiety. We've even talked about some like hardcore behavior analytic fun topics like resurgence, which was fun, and CMOs. So sometimes we'll get really nitty gritty on that. So, if you're looking for a place to continue the learning once you've got the task list down, why not come over to ABA Inside Track? And I know, Brian, we like to have a lot of guests. We know you're going to be coming on. Depending on when this episode comes out, we're going to be talking about trauma-informed care.
Yes.
So whether that's before or after, because that's how podcasts work. You never know when they're recorded and when they will magically appear in your podcast player. But so we'll have them. We've also had other guests. Like
You think that's a variable interval schedule?
Is it? I don't know. Now we're talking
You have to
mixed.
respond though.
You gotta check.
I gotta click the.
that's
Oh
true.
yeah.
You gotta check.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I interrupted you.
Oh, sorry. So Brian, we're going to have you on the show. We've had other folks. We've had Dr. Jim Carr. We had Dr. Byron Wine in a recent episode talking about staff turnover. We've had, who else have we had? We had some folks. We had Adrian Bradley and Kat Jackson from the Black Applied Behavior Analysis group recently. Nice topic for these times. So there's always a lot more learning to do, and feel free to come and do it with us.
And
over at
can't you
ABA
also
Inside Track.
get continuing education credits?
Oh, you can. That's true. So another thing, once you pass the test, you then have to continue learning. You have to continue learning for many reasons. And yes, listening to the show, you can earn learning credits for listening. So, hey, kill two birds with one stone. We hope to be entertaining, but then at the very end, even if we weren't, you still earn a learning credit. So it could be worse. We try to pair ourselves with all the reinforcers we can.
To be fair, I've enjoyed many of your podcasts, and I've yet to find one that puts me to sleep. So there you go.
Oh,
All right.
Well, thanks.
No problem. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on. Again, folks, check out ABA Inside Track if you haven't already. And thank you for being a part of OBehave. OBehave is an open source education podcast, which means that this podcast is licensed so that you can use part or whole of the podcast for learning purposes, including cutting, reusing, that sort of thing, as long as you refer back to the podcast so that folks know where to find us and where they can continue finding open source learning. We really appreciate having you guys on, and I hope you have an excellent night.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Brian.
you too. Bye.
Bye.